Granola production of baking and packaging high-quality, unique granola recipes. To create a granola brand that truly stands out in a crowded market, you have to stop thinking like a home cook and start thinking like a master craftsman. This isn't just about mixing oats in a bowl. It is an intricate dance of sourcing, chemistry, temperature control, and logistical precision. If you want to reach that gold standard of granola, the kind that customers crave and specialty grocers fight to stock, you need to understand every moving part of the production line. Let's take a deep, comprehensive walk through the entire life cycle of high-quality granola production, aiming for that professional edge. Phase 1, the philosophy of sourcing. The quality of your finished bag is a direct reflection of your raw ingredients. You cannot make a premium product with bargain bin components. In professional production, sourcing is where your uniqueness is born, beyond the basic oat. Most commercial granolas use standard rolled oats. They are fine, but they are predictable. To build a unique profile, look at the physical structure of your grains. Thick-cut, old-fashioned oats offer a much more satisfying snap than thin, quick-cooking varieties. But why stop at oats? The modern palate is looking for diversity. Think about incorporating ancient grains to differentiate your texture. Puffed amaranth adds a light, airy crunch. Buckwheat groats, which are actually seeds, provide a nutty, intense toasted flavor and a very distinct small batch look. If you use rye or barley flakes, you introduce a sophisticated earthiness that balances out the sweetness. This is your foundation. If the foundation is interesting, the rest of the build becomes much easier. The science of fats and sweeteners. Your binders do more than just hold the oats together. They dictate the mouthfeel and the aftertaste of the product. For fats, the choice is critical. Refined oils are neutral, but they don't add character. Extra virgin coconut oil adds a tropical aroma and a very crisp finish because it is solid at room temperature. However, for a truly savory or high-end artisanal feel, many producers are moving toward extra virgin olive oil or even cold-pressed nut oils, like walnut or hazelnut. These oils don't just coat the grain, they penetrate it, carrying flavor deep into the center of every cluster. When it comes to sweetness, the industry is moving away from cane sugar. To be unique, you should explore liquid sweeteners with high mineral content. Maple syrup is a classic, but grade A dark color, formerly grade B, has much more robust flavor that survives the baking process. Brown rice syrup is an incredible binder because it's very sticky, helping you achieve those massive clusters people love. If you want a floral note, look for single origin honeys like orange blossom or wildflower. The sweetener is your glue, but it's also your primary flavor carrier. Phase 2. Flavor architecture and recipe development. Creating a unique recipe isn't just about adding more cinnamon. It's about balancing the 5 basic tastes: sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami. Professional grade granola should hit at least 3 or 4 of these to keep the palate engaged. The hidden flavors. Salt is the most important ingredient in your granola besides the oats. Without it, the sweetness is flat. Using a high mineral sea salt or a smoked salt can transform a good granola into a craveable one. Acid is the second secret ingredient. A tiny amount of apple cider vinegar in the liquid mix or the inclusion of freeze-dried raspberry powder provides a high note brightness. It cuts through the heavy fats and grains, making the product feel lighter and more energetic. Lastly, consider umami. This is the savory depth usually reserved for dinner. A touch of miso paste whisked into your syrup or a hint of nutritional yeast gives the granola a toasted depth that customers can't quite put their finger on but keep coming back for. This is how you create a unique recipe, by playing with ingredients that your competitors are afraid to use. The testing protocol. When you are developing your signature blend, you have to account for flavor drift. Granola tastes different at 3 distinct stages. The raw mix tastes very sweet and bright. Warm from the oven, tastes case toasted, but the spices are often muted by the heat. 24 hours later, the final flavor. This is when the oils have settled and the sugars have crystallized. Always make your final adjustments based on the 24-hour mark. If the ginger isn't pinging the back of your throat a day later, you need to increase the dosage in the next batch. Next, phase 3, the professional baking process. Baking granola is less about cooking and more about dehydrating. And if you bake too fast at high heat, you get a burnt exterior and a soft, soggy interior. This leads to a short shelf life and a poor eating experience. The art of the mix. In a professional setting, you use a planetary mixer with a paddle attachment. The goal is total saturation. You want every single grain to be coated in your oil and syrup mixture. Any dry spots will turn into flavorless dust during the shipping process. However, you must be gentle. If you overmix, you break the delicate flakes of the oats, leading to a sandy texture. The liquid should be slightly warm when added to the dry ingredients. This lowers the viscosity and ensures it flows into every nook and cranny of the nuts and seeds. Low and slow, the golden rule. The sweet spot for high-end granola is usually between 130 degrees Celsius and 145 degrees Celsius. By keeping the oven low, you allow the moisture to escape the center of the nuts and grains without scorching the sugars. This creates a glass-like crunch that stays crisp even when submerged in milk or yogurt. If you're using convection ovens, which most professional kitchens do, you need to be mindful of hot spots. Even professional ovens have them. Rotating your racks halfway through is non-negotiable. Mastering the cluster. The cluster is the holy grail of granola. To get them, you have to resist the urge to stir. Once you spread your mix onto the sheet pans, use a flat weight or a spatula to press the granola down firmly. You want a solid compact date kishertakdati shakwe chik pack. When the timer goes off, the granola will still feel soft. This is the dangerous moment. If you stir it now, you destroy the clusters. You must let the pans cool completely, usually for 90 to 120 minutes, on a cooling rack. As the sugars cool, they harden and weld the oats together. Only once the pan is cold should you break the cake into those beautiful chunky clusters. Phase 4, post-bake additions and textures. The oven is a harsh environment. Certain ingredients cannot survive it. The cold fold, dried fruits like raisins, cranberries, or apricots should never be baked. The heat sucks the remaining moisture out of them, turning them into teeth breakers. Similarly, chocolate chips or cacao nibs will melt and lose their individual identity. These should be added in the cold fold stage. Once your granola is cooled and broken into clusters, you gently toss in your fruits, chocolate, or freeze-dried components, and this keeps the fruit chewy and the chocolate snappy. It also creates a beautiful visual contrast. The bright red of a dried cherry against the golden brown of the oats is a powerful marketing tool. Phase 5, packaging and preservation. You've spent hours making the perfect granola. If you put it in the wrong bag, all that work is gone in 3 days. Granola has two primary enemies: humidity and oxidation, high barrier protection. Standard paper bags might look artisanal, but they're terrible for shelf life. Moisture from the air will seep through the paper, making the granola soggy. And instead, professional brands use high barrier films. And these are often multi-layered pouches that block out light, which makes nuts go rancid in air. If you want to stay unique and eco-friendly, look into the new generation of compostable high barrier pouches. They provide the protection of plastic with the values of sustainable brand. The Ziploc factor. Because granola is rarely eaten in one sitting, a resealable zipper is mandatory. It tells the customer that you care about their experience on day 10 just as much as day 1. Scaling with nitrogen. As your production grows and you start shipping to stores further away, you might need to look into nitrogen flushing, MAP, modified atmosphere packaging. This process replaces the oxygen in the bag with an inert gas, nitrogen, before sealing. Since there is no oxygen, the oils in the nuts cannot oxidize. This can extend your shelf life from 3 months to over a year without adding a single chemical preservative. Phase 6, scaling and consistency. The difference between a hobby and a business is consistency. Your customer expects the bag they buy in December to taste exactly like the one they bought in June. The power of SOPs, standard operating procedures. You cannot eyeball ingredients in professional production. Every single element must be weighed to the gram. This includes the salt and the spices. Even the humidity in your kitchen can affect the bake. So professional bakers keep logs of the ambient temperature and adjust their baking times by a few minutes if the air is particularly damp. Quality control, the batch library. A great habit to start early is keeping a library of your work. From every single production run, take one bag, label it with the batch number and date, and put it on a shelf. If a customer or a wholesaler ever contacts you with a concern about a specific batch, you can go to your library, open that bag, and see exactly what they are seeing. It's the ultimate way to protect your brand's reputation. Equipment evolution. When you're starting, you're using sheet pans and reach-in ovens. But as you scale, you'll look toward rack ovens. These allow you to slide an entire rack of 20-plus pans into the oven at once, rotating them automatically for a perfect, even bake. Automatic baggers, these weigh the granola and seal the bags at high speeds, reducing labor costs and human error. Vibratory feeders. These move the granola gently into the bag so the clusters don't get crushed into dust. Final thoughts on the journey. Producing high-quality, unique granola is a marathon, not a sprint. It requires a curious mind, someone willing to ask, what happens if I use smoked paprika? Or how does the crunch change if I bake at 10 degrees lower for 20 minutes longer? The uniqueness of your brand comes from these tiny incremental decisions. It's the choice of the grain, the complexity of the sweetener, the patience of the cooling process, and the integrity of the packaging. When you master these steps, and you aren't just selling breakfast. You're selling a premium experience that starts the moment they see the bag and lasts until the very last crunchy bite at the bottom of the bowl.